The next item is to hear our city managers, is this the State of the City report?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I have copies of the actual report, which I won't read, but I would like to hit some of the highlights because I think by any measurement, this city had a remarkable 2014. And when I say remarkable city, I also include a lot of the business development that has occurred within the corporate boundaries, which looked at in the aggregate is really quite remarkable. Now, we start off the year, a year ago, if you can flash back in your head, you remember that we had a very tragic fire. I will say this, that I've seen a lot of fires in my career, but I think the handling of that fire by the Hot Springs Fire Department, surrounding departments was exemplary. And thank goodness we had that kind of training and mutual aid agreements so we could suppress a fire of this magnitude. Fire of this magnitude requires, I think, 5 million gallons of water per day to knock out. And fortunately, the wind was not coming from the wrong direction, and the fire was contained within the yellow brick structure itself, or we could have had a major, major catastrophe. But out of bad comes good, out of chaos comes order, whatever you want to say. But the tragedy at the Majestic gave rise to the affirmation of the Thermal Basin Fire District, which this board had actually passed several months prior to that tragedy. I think the Majestic serves as a constant reminder of what happens when people don't take care of properties and codes aren't enforced. And we've learned a major lesson, just like we've learned in wastewater tonight, about the need for proactive thinking and planning and enforcement. Since the Thermal Basin Fire District was created, what it has done is it's given confidence to building owners in the downtown area who now know that codes are being enforced, that their investments are being protected, that there is a future, that while we may have another fire in the future, we know we have definitely minimized the possibility of that happening. Bill Burrow and I were at the International Council of Shopping Centers Development Day up in Little Rock a week ago. And Greg Nabholz, who many credit with developing the Argenta area of North Little Rock, came up to us and said he was amazed at what's going on downtown. And in his opinion, the major catalyst for downtown redevelopment that's occurring in Hot Springs was the result of the water main installation on Central, and more importantly, the connection of the fire suppression systems to the buildings, because normally, according to him, that is a major inhibitor toward redevelopment, and we have that in place now. And so consequently, we've had a myriad of projects come forward in a very short time period. This is an actual description of what was put in, about 3,000 feet of a main that's dedicated to fire suppression, and 13 new fire hydrants, which should help fire insurance ratings downtown, which helps building property owners and their own insurance premiums. We also have made 17 connections with buildings. And I might note that we've had really great response from a lot of our downtown property owners. You know, sometimes you read about the one or two who don't, but we've had great participation. Found out yesterday that the Wade building will put in sprinklers as per the owner. The thermal basin is being extended And I have a written statement from the owner of the Royal Vista, which while not located in the downtown area, will be making major fire suppression improvements on that building, which, as you know, has been hidden behind scaffolding for 3 years. Well, I think things are about to happen there again. So the Thermal Basin Fire District is creating, along with private entrepreneurial activity, the Chamber of Commerce has devoted a staff member, Cole McCaskill, to helping downtown property owners. And commensurate with that, we now see some progress going on. And I think we kind of coined a term, which I like, which is, please excuse our progress. We know that it can be disruptive. I will say this, that the construction company, Coakley, bent over backwards working with these property owners to provide access, which is difficult anytime you are constructing in a downtown area, and I commend them for that. Okay, what has it spurred? Well, prior to that, the city board, in an effort to match policy with reality, created a building permit holiday, which meant that any single-family building permit in the city would be exempted from paying the building permit fee. But downtown, that would also include conversion of buildings to apartments or residences, which to me was not only symbolic but also financial. And I think that effort, which was held at the top of the Exchange Street parking deck, had a really good turnout, a lot of enthusiasm, was a direct reflection of this board's blessing of downtown as the top priority in the city to promote, because it is our history and it is our future. Also last year, thanks to the work of Kathy Selman and one of her employees, and Terry Payne and others, we were able to submit an application to the American Planning Association, and were designated as one of the top 10 streets in America for 2014. And as Rex Nelson elegantly stated in his address the day that we received the award, that particular year included somewhat well-known streets like Broadway in New York City. So, I mean, we're in a class by ourselves. And I think being designated a top 10 street puts a responsibility on the city and property owners to take that status and make Hot Springs what it can be. Now, what kind of projects have gone on, are going on, that will literally change the appearance of downtown? The Thompson Building, which, as you know, has been vacant for years above the first floor, has been purchased by the Taylor, Kempke, Zucker, TKZ.
Zunick.
Huh?
Zunick.
What'd I say?
Zucker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Facebook.
Yeah. Senior moment, sorry about that. They've purchased the Thompson Building, and they will be converting that here shortly into a boutique hotel. And they've also acquired the Dugan Stewart Building, which is several buildings up Central Avenue, where the downstairs retail is already being converted into 3 new uses: chocolate store, wine bar, 4D Walt Disney type attraction for young kids, and then they have an existing C-store. But more importantly, the upper floors, which are beautiful, have marble all the way up to the top, will also be converted into an all-suites hotel. That's dependent on some Federal New Market tax credits, so that's not a done deal, but that's definitely in the works. The basement of that building contains a bowling alley that was used back in the 1930s by both honorable and dishonorable residents of this community. And it really could be quite a attraction for people to go down and see where that operated. The Hell Bathhouse, one of the last remaining bathhouses to be leased, is going to be become a bed and breakfast operated by the McCabe's, who will be not only offering B&B, but also restaurants and even meeting room space. So right there in one small area of Central, you're going to have 3 new hospitality operations, which can only attract more people to downtown Hot Springs. One of the game-changing events that occurred last year that I can't say enough about, this was really due to the efforts of Senator Bill Sample, Representative John Vines, Dr. Jones from Henderson State, was the landing or the startup of the Henderson State Hot Springs campus and the Landmark building. That's a game changer. That has generated a lot of attention for Henderson State. They have seen a major increase in credit hours for people wanting to pursue a undergraduate degree or even a graduate degree at this campus. The person who owns the Landmark building, Rick Williams, has also bought multiple buildings around that square. And if you notice, he moved the lender's title people into a building across from Landmark, and it's a beautiful rehabilitation. And then behind the Landmark building is a new parking lot, which will have the wrought iron fence and landscaping and a water feature, which will be the entryway into downtown, highlighting Henderson State and its Hot Springs campus. So we ought to congratulate that effort. Regions Bank tore down their building last year and had a groundbreaking this year, but the demolition was last year, so we'll take credit for 2 years. But they'll be constructing a $3 million building here, which signifies their commitment to downtown Hot Springs as their headquarters building for this area, which to me is a real stamp of approval. The Regions Bank building behind the overhead bank area, here again was purchased by Rick Williams and will probably come into play as Henderson State expands its operation in the future. Okay, what are other things going on? Obviously, a lot more than just downtown. This august body celebrated the dedication of the Kimry Park project. About 2 years ago, Kimry Park was very close to being closed. In fact, we had to close it because of concern about liability and unplayable surfaces. And the city, working as a team with A&P, with our local delegation, and the use of GIF funds distributed through the West Central Planning and Development District, were able to put together a package of about $330,000 to put in the only turf infield softball complex in the state of Arkansas. Here we have a ribbon cutting with the chamber. The mayor was there, a lot of business people, and that particular event has catapulted us from being a place where softball teams only went because they love coming to Hot Springs to a place where they want to be here. And A&P was, or I guess it was actually the city attracted Lakeside, I'm sorry. Lakeside High School has attracted their class softball tournament to be held at Kimry Park this year. And we had some major competition to get that. So that's a great example of a team of the state, the city, the A&P. We had business people volunteer time to do this, the Chamber of Commerce. That took a team effort to take what was becoming an eyesore and turning it into a real jewel for the community. Our webpage. We were awarded, received an award from 3CMA, which is a consortium of public entities who have PIOs or communication operations. And due to the fine work of our own Terry Payne and her staff, we received a Savvy Award for, which is for our digital interactive overall website, as well as an award of excellence for the way that we actually created that website with very minimal infusion of local dollars. We got grants from Civic Plus to do this. So kudos to our staff for literally putting the Hot Springs website at the pinnacle of city websites around the country. Our Sister City program continues to be distinctive. Mary Nelson, Carla Mouton, our Japanese representative, won an award for the program that was presented here at Hot Springs back in the, when was that, Mayor? Back in the summer? Fall? That program is now in its 22nd year of operation. Has brought Hot Springs in the area a lot of attention. The citizen exchange, or not the citizens, the high school students who go from here to Hanamaki, which is our sister city, and vice versa, has really had some remarkable accomplishments. And here again, commend the A&P, our partner in this program, for literally managing an award-winning sister city program. Hot Springs Tunnel. The Arkansas Business Times had an article about the Hot Springs Tunnel on their web or digital version. That was the #1 read article they had all year, 2014. The tunnel, working with our West Central Planning and Development District, the city was able to obtain a $490,000 grant to go into the tunnel and make some repairs that were needed to allow it to remain stable and to carry the floodwaters that we have during storm events, like you heard earlier tonight, as they go down to Lake Hamilton. Max Sestelli, Diddy McFate headed up this project. We hope to continue that rehabilitation work downtown, but you know, a lot of times these old storm drainage tunnels, and this one's easily 100 years old, you know, tend to fall apart, creating a hazard above. And this tunnel, actually, the walls of this tunnel are part of the basement of the Dugan Stewart building. I mean, you can see the tunnel wall on the other side. So that tunnel being maintained in a pristine condition is critical to the safety not only of people downstream, but adjacent buildings. And so we're trying to be good stewards and maintain that tunnel in the way it should be maintained. Sidewalks. Due to the efforts of our CDBG, which is a HUD program, Community Development Block Grant, Advisory Council, our planning department, our consultant, Michelle Sestelli, our neighborhood groups, Gateway, Park Avenue, and Whittington. We've come up with a plan for this board to adopt, which they did, which is providing connectivity between the downtown and various corridors that are central to the communities of, whether it's Pleasant Street, or it's Whittington, or it's Park Avenue. We know that citizens want pedestrian access. They want to be able to walk from their homes to downtown. They don't want to walk in the street. If you're a disabled person, and let's face it, with our rehab center here, we have a lot of people who have disabilities, and they can't get around downtown or in our neighborhoods because the sidewalks were not handicap accessible. And so some of our CDBG money is being used to put in wheelchair ramps. So you can actually physically get from your neighborhood downtown without having to take your wheelchair, which I see all the time, out into the roadway, which is dangerous. So that work's going to be, we were held up on an environmental review by HUD, but all the monies have been released, and you'll be seeing a lot of sidewalk construction after this last blast of winter passes by. This is the former Relax Inn. Kloss Hotel, which was demolished using our stormwater funds. If you go up there now, it's a vacant piece of property, but will soon become a park. And ultimately will be one of the dominoes in a greenway, which will serve as not only a recreational amenity, a beautification of that corridor, but also will serve as additional stormwater capacity by taking some of the tunnel here and making it an open cut. So we're not containing all the stormwater in a confined space. And so you'll be seeing that project unfold over the years. And I predict that will have a dramatic impact on the entryway into downtown from Highway 7 North, along with some of the complete street policy implementation we're going to have up there here again in the coming year. If you go down if you go down Valley to Runyon Street, you might remember we had a rickety old bridge there that could not handle the storm design. Trailway had to go above ground, not along the creek itself. That project is currently underway. When completed, it will be a longer span. The trail, I believe, will go under the bridge, not above the bridge. So if you're walking, running, biking, you don't have to have an at-grade crossing. Here again, that's another feature that will help beautify a corridor that's formerly industrial into a park-like atmosphere as we continue down to Lake Hamilton. Due to the attractiveness of Hot Springs as a tourist location, quality of life, fun place to be, the last year saw the opening of a Zaxby's, a Baskin Robbins, Dunkin' Donuts, Little Caesars, a Longhorn Steakhouse, a Slim Chickens, Panda Express on Higdon Ferry. We had a Holiday Inn Express open. We have a Courtyard by Marriott that is either open or soon to be. One thing I will note that's amazing to me, the A&P tax collections have come out for the first 2 months of 2015. They are up 9%. 9%. That's the biggest jump they've had probably since we had A&P. So a lot of people are coming here. More people are coming here. I think it just demonstrates the appeal this area has for tourism and recreation. Economic indicators. How are we doing? Our sales tax was up at the end of 14. Our first payment in, well, I guess that included the December 3%. Our 1% city sales tax produces $11.9 million. Our half-cent public safety tax raises about half of that, or $5.97 million. Our county sales taxes, remember, are being paid in the city, so a 1% county sales tax is getting $11.9 million from city retailers. A lot of times people don't understand how this works, but, you know, we're all dependent on sales tax, which is driven by tourism, which is why the previous number about A&P collections is critical. Construction activity. Had a lot of buildings going up this past year. Our residential permits increased 25%. If you think back on the last year, we had an Oaklawn expansion. We had a starting of a cardiology center at National Park Medical Center. We've had Regions Bank. We're about to have we issued a permit here a couple weeks ago for the new First Security Bank building on Central down next to the MAPCO. It's a $4 million building. I understand there's going to be another hotel built next to the KZNG radio station. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And I don't see that slowing down unless there's some type of national or international calamity that we don't know about. But there's a lot of good stuff going on here. And I think, kind of reflecting back on Daniel Jackson's presentation, infrastructure is the key to quality development. If you don't have quality infrastructure, you might not have any development, but you want to have quality development. And I think the strides that this community is making in wastewater improvements, in water improvements, in transportation improvements will yield benefits, because good money likes chasing good infrastructure. And I think we're starting to see the benefits of making these investments. When people talk about they don't want to pay taxes, a sales tax, that may or may not be true, but if the money is earmarked for capital, we're seeing this all over Arkansas, public is gravitating toward that, and they're seeing the return on investment. And I think you're seeing the return on investment here for capital improvement that the city has made over the past year. Arrow came out of nowhere. Oaklawn expansion. Oaklawn is doing well. The city and the county get a take or a breakage of the pari-mutuel betting, whether it's on the horses or it's on the game of skills. Last year, the city got about $2 million from Oaklawn, the county about half of that. Oaklawn, since they opened their expansion, their breakout, or what we receive and the county receives, is up about 47%. And I don't see that doing anything but increasing, which means you got a lot of people coming to town either for the horses, the games of skill, or which is going to drive some of that hotel and motel and restaurant business even more. So it's something to keep in mind. The Oaklawn expansion, $20 million project, 150 new jobs. They have a problem that a lot of our employers have. They can't find the labor. We have a lot of jobs in this town, and there's no labor or people willing to apply or work for the job. So that's an issue for the chamber to address, and I know they are. We had 339 new business openings last year. That is a record for Hot Springs. The city clerk's office collects or registers new business coming into town. It's the highest number we've had since, 14 years ago? Whenever they started doing it. Occupation tax raises $700,000. Alcohol tax raises $620,000. And our CAFR, which is a comprehensive annual financial report, will be released later on this year that will go into more detail about where our money comes from and where we spend it. That's the conclusion of my State of the City. I think by any measurement, this area is doing great. Can we do better? Yeah, of course we can do better. But I think you've got the core ingredients of a downtown that's enjoying a renaissance. You've got wastewater, water improvements that are going to make our infrastructure even more desirable. We have a lot of champions marketing the community, and I see 2015 being an even better year. Mayor, that's my
Great.
state.
Some pretty pictures in there, too.
Thank you.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Does anyone have a question or anything?